Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Carl. Wait a minute. Let's try that again. When somebody comes on a stage, what do we usually do when they're coming out to welcome them? Welcome, ladies. There we go. That's much better. Thank you very much. Asking for my own applause. You'd think I was a Dartmouth graduate. Okay, I'm not. My name is Carlos Santos Coy, and I am your host for this evening, and I'll talk a little bit about myself in just a minute. First, I want to find out who's here, and where y'all are from. First of all, is the class of 2018 here yet? There we go. Class of 2018, when I say 20, you say 18. 20. 18. Louder, 20. 18. When I say Dartmouth, you say go green. Dartmouth. Dartmouth. 20. 18. That was a quiz for some of y'all. I heard a couple of go greens in there. Yes, Dartmouth. Class of 2018, welcome. Families and friends of Dartmouth, class of 2018, welcome. Thank you all for being here. This is the official welcome to Dartmouth as part of Dimensions. Again, I said my name is Carlos Santos Coy, and I'm your host. I work in the Office of Pluralism and Leadership. I already recognize some faces from a couple of other events from today that you have been visiting, and I appreciate you coming to those events. Appreciate you being here. OPAL, the Office of Pluralism and Leadership, is an office on this campus that is an academic support service. What that means is you don't take classes from us, you don't get credit from us, but the stuff you do outside the class that's going to help you do better in the class, a lot of that comes through academic support services. Things like your academic deans, your advisors, your faculty, not your faculty advisors, but other types of advisors you have, including your OPAL advisors. OPAL is all about helping you develop your identity, your leadership, your sense of community here at Dartmouth. And what that looks like is that we have a team of advisors that work with different communities on campus. I am the advisor to the first-generation college students that are here as part of Dartmouth's community. And first-generation college students are 12% of the Dartmouth student population. It's about 500 students. A quick show of applause if you are a first-gen college student here at Dartmouth, potentially. Applause, applause, applause. Excellent. Now the rest of you, I need you to give those folks applause for being the first in their family to go to college. Not only are they the first in their family, among the first in their family to go to college, but they have the opportunity, should they choose wisely, to go to an Ivy League college. The first in their family to go to college, and it's going to be an Ivy League, perhaps? It's going to be one of the premier colleges in the world? That is an accomplishment. That is awesome. That is hard work. So one more time for my first gens, one more round of applause. All right. Well, tonight, let me tell you what tonight's going to be about. Tonight is about current students and their stories. But more importantly, tonight's about you and your story. Because what I want you to look at when you listen to these students tonight talk about their stories is imagine yourself up here on this stage a year from now, 2 years from now, a couple years from now, talking to a potential incoming class about their lived experiences here at Dartmouth. Because we have one student who was sitting in that seat a year ago. We have a couple students who actually are seniors, and they weren't sitting in your seats because this is only the second time we've ever done this event. So they get to be up here on stage sharing this information with you and their experiences while they've been here at Dartmouth. And I hope you listen to their stories because you're going to hear a couple of different things in their stories. You're going to hear about how students have explored their time here at Dartmouth. Use this time here to go on exploration of what it means to be them and what they want from this college experience. You're going to hear about students building their own college experience, both literally and figuratively. You're going to hear students talking about how they've taken their experiences from Dartmouth and now are contributing back to the college and the world. You're also going to hear a story about risk, what it means to take risks, the rewards and the potential pitfalls of taking risks. And you're going to hear a story about passion, students following their passion and where that passion has led them. So I hope you can picture yourself up here and in some of these students and their stories. Because even though they have individual stories and they're all unique experiences, just like each of you are going to have a unique Dartmouth experience, no two of you will have the same experience, I hope. They do share some commonalities, though. Some of those commonalities are around growth. You're going to hear about how they grew through some of the experiences they had, but also how they grew through some of the challenges they faced when they were here. Personal challenges, academic challenges, social challenges, international challenges. But the important thing is not that they were challenged, but they utilized the resources to overcome challenges and how they did that. Pay attention closely to that. And here's the thing about growth. Growth doesn't happen without change. So I expect for each of you that who you are right now sitting in this seat and who you will be the day you walk across that stage and accept that diploma from wherever you choose to go, I hope for you that you are different. I hope for you that you've changed. And I hope that wherever you choose to go to school, to do your college experience, I hope that place helped to facilitate the change that you became, the growth that you experienced, and whoever it is you go out into the world and become, and whatever it is you do for our world. And I thank you for whatever it is you're going to do ahead of time. I know it's going to be fantastic and brilliant because you're in these seats. You have to be fantastic and brilliant to be in these seats. Right? Yeah, give some love. That's an applause line. That's an applause line. And because I know you're fantastic and brilliant, I don't want you to be intimidated by anything you hear up here. I got to tell you, these students we have, they are fantastic and they are brilliant. But it's not like they applied for a job to get this opportunity to speak. It's not like they won some award or we had to handpick these students and search through every single student just to find 4 whose stories we wanted to share with you. The truth is, we're the folks I'm hosting this event with, we were joking that, man, we have so many to choose from. How do we choose? Who do we choose? So what we tried to do was find stories that were different, diverse from each other, but had some common themes. So I hope you pay attention to those common themes and learn from these stories whatever it is that can apply to you and your potential Dartmouth experience. I want to check on some more folks that might be in the room real quick. Do I have any athletes, any committed Dartmouth athletes in the room? Dartmouth athletes, NC2A athletes? Applause. I know there's a couple of you. I saw you come in. Let me see you clap. All right, there she is. What sport? Diving. What's your name? Where are you from? Allegra from Chicago. Anybody else from Chicago? Give Allegra some love. Come on now. Because Allegra from Chicago was the only athlete to admit she's an athlete and in the room, because I know there's more of you, Allegra, you get a Dartmouth Class of 18 t-shirt. That's for you. Don't worry about the size. You can exchange it for a size that fits. I have more t-shirts I'm going to be giving away later tonight. Don't worry about the size of the t-shirt. You can exchange it for a size that fits at the Dartmouth Co-op on Main Street. That's the only plug they're going to get. They didn't give these to us. We had to pay for them. So, without further ado, I want to introduce to you the person, the only person on this entire campus who read every single one of your applications. Every single one of you, her eyes were on it. She is the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid. Her name is Maria Lascaris. She is a Dartmouth graduate class of 1984, and she has been serving as the Dean of Admissions and Financial Aid since 2007. Prior to that, she was the Director of Admissions. So please help me welcome your Dean of Admissions, the person who put her eyes on your application and said, okay, sure, why not? Let's take a chance. Help me welcome Maria Lascaris out.
Hello, everyone, and good evening. As Carlos said, I did actually look at all of your applications, and it's thrilling to see you in person. You're a whole lot nicer looking than the pixels on my computer screen. So it's a real thrill to have you all on campus today, students and parents and family members, to welcome you to the Dartmouth community. As Carlos said, we have a wonderful program for you this evening. You'll hear stories actually from 3 students and 1 young alum. I know top of mind, perhaps for parents more than their students, is, well, what do Dartmouth students do once they finish this 4-year experience? So we actually have 1 young alum who will share with you a little bit about her story, which is really exciting. A couple things I wanted to say before handing it back over to Carlos and our wonderful presenters. Dartmouth is a place of incredible opportunity, and I think you've all probably read the literature, you've heard the admissions spiel, you've looked at the view books. And the reason we brought you here and encouraged you to come visit us in person is because we want you to get to know the people. It's the people of this community that really make this such a special place. Our faculty, legendary for their scholarship and their research, but equally legendary for their teaching and their commitment to working with undergraduates. So this is a place where your faculty are here because they want to work with you. And as a student, to be in that kind of environment is just thrilling. This is also a place that students care passionately about. And so the students, many of whom are in this room, will be your classmates. I hope they will all be your classmates. You will all join together in a community of 4,200 undergraduates, all of whom come here with all kinds of hopes and aspirations and dreams and desires, and have an opportunity to explore their passions, to discover something new about themselves, to stretch and challenge themselves, and along the way, be together with an incredible peer group, an incredibly diverse and accomplished group of students from around the world who all come together to study in this beautiful little town, this campus that we call Dartmouth College. So it's really an extraordinary opportunity, made all the more extraordinary by the people that you will come into contact with. So on behalf of my staff in admissions and financial aid, we're absolutely thrilled to welcome you to our campus. We hope that today and tomorrow will be full of discovery and exploration for you. We hope that you take the time to talk to our people, to talk to our staff, really get to know us, and we're here to help. So if any questions at all, we'll be around all day today, all day tomorrow. But again, congratulations to all the members of the class of 2018 and to your parents and family members who raised such amazing young people. And we would be thrilled to have you as a member of our community in the fall. So with that, I'll pass it off to Carlos and on with the show. Thank you.
All right. So I told you that we're going to hear a couple of different stories. And the first story we're going to hear is really fantastic. And I think one of the things I love most about this story is that this is the student who was literally sitting in your seat 1 year ago. And the thing about this student is, as we were kind of, again, like I said, trying to figure out who do we want to present, who would be good, who's going to be good on stage, or who's done some stuff. This year, a change from last year, was we decided to have a first-year student come and share their story. Now, that was kind of risky because we don't know what kind of experiences a first-year student has had, or if they've had enough experiences to share with you to really inform you of the things that you can take advantage of while you're here. But the minute we decided, hey, you know what, maybe we should try to do a first-year student this year, everybody knew exactly who we wanted, because this first-year student has made quite the impression on campus, around campus, in the community, and as you'll see, you already have an impact in foreign countries. So I'd like for you to help me welcome out, from the class of 2017, Miss Gisele Phalo.
How's everybody doing tonight? I have a question for all y'all. Where's home for you? Anybody from Houston? Houston, Texas. All right, represent. I'm also a first-year generation student, so hands off to all y'all coming here. A round of applause. Yeah. So I always used to ask myself that before coming here at Dartmouth. A year ago, I was sitting in the same exact seat asking myself, what is a city girl doing here at Dartmouth College in the middle of nowhere? Am I gonna find my home here? Am I gonna feel comfortable here? All that good stuff. And during my first year trip, I got to hang out in a river. And, I had a really contemplative moment. I was just like, I like this. I was sitting on a rock. I had, some poetry, and I was just dangling my feet in the water, and I was like, I really like the outdoors. Maybe that's where I feel comfortable. Maybe that's where my niche is. And I didn't know that thinking something like that would open all kind of doors for me to explore the outdoors and go back home during winter break and go to Big Bend National Park and play guitar after cross-country skiing for the first time, or playing ukulele on Easter after an egg hunt on a mountain, or snowshoeing in Canada during spring break, or even doing a morning hike, like this morning, just doing a hike, going to a waterfall, and just contemplating on life. That's cool to me, and that's where I feel like home. And so it made me think about people back at home and, in my high school, what about them? How would they feel if they apply here to Dartmouth? Would they have the same questions? There were times when I really felt homesick, and I would miss, I miss family, I miss friends. But I found here that you can find a piece of home in a variety of places, be it the library, or the skiway, or the greenhouse, where I give tours every week. Or you can even create your own home or a bookcase at the woodwork shop. No matter what you decide to do, finding home is an everlasting adventure and discovery, and it has its ups and downs. There were times when I thought, oh gosh, it's not gonna work. This is not home here. But I think that there's a piece of home here for everybody. And I'm still finding mine, and hopefully you'll find yours too. So. Welcome home. Sorry, that's the, wait. What I meant to say was, when I look back on my first year trip and what I did, I always think about just standing in that river for the first time and thinking, this is really wet, but this is really awesome. So when you come here and you go on your first trip or whatever you do, just think about, where do I feel comfortable? And that can help you find your niche. So welcome home. During fall term, I used to always play a song that would help me when I would feel homesick. I'm going to perform that song for you guys tonight. Feels so fancy. Nice to hear your voice on the telephone, but I'm wondering when you're coming home. Whoa, it's just not the same without you here. So could you please stay another year? 'Cause it hasn't been the same since you've gone away. But I'll be I'll be okay. There'll be letters and emails and packages too. And I'll say hello to Mom for you. And you don't have to call me every day. I'll be thinking about you anyway. 'Cause it's nice to hear your voice. I know it's cold outside. Keep your heart warm and guide you through the storm, and let the happiness shine from the inside. 'Cause there'll be days when the sun dies and the sky falls and it's dark and it's blue and the world would seem to crumble around you. I'll just keep you in my prayers each and every single day to chase those lonely days away. True friends yet, I still wonder where I belong. Somehow I carry on. Someday everything will make sense, and I know where I'll belong. I know I found a home.
All right. I'm not going to let Gisele leave yet. Normally she would be going off stage. That's how we practiced it. But I wanted her to stay here because she's too humble to let you know she wrote that song herself and has performed that song all over campus, wherever she can find a piano. I've heard about her at 5, 6 in the morning in Rollins Chapel playing the piano. And so can you just show some love for somebody putting their heart on the line and Yeah, that was great. That blew us away yesterday during rehearsal because that was the first time any of us had ever heard it. And Gisele's just fantastic. We love having her here. She's active all over campus. So again, I hope to see one of you up here next year, maybe representing just as much as she is. And she's not even a music major, by the way, either. It's just something she does for fun. So without further ado, I want to talk about our next story, our next presenter, in just a moment. So this story is going to be more along the lines of when I was mentioning there it is, building your own experience, the story around building your own experience. Our next presenter is a senior. He has taken advantage of his time here at Dartmouth and the resources of Dartmouth. Despite not always having his own personal resources, he's found resources here to help him accomplish and do some of the things that he wanted to do. So again, listen to some of the things he gained along the way, the lessons he learned, the challenges he faced. Because, like I will hit this home to you again and again, no matter where you go, as you grow, you're going to face challenges. And that wonderful person you come out on the other side is a result of how you dealt with those challenges. So listen to the challenges in all of these stories and how the students dealt with them. Please help me welcome senior Michael Berger to the stage.
Hi guys, my name is Michael Berger, and as Carlos said, I'm a 14 at Dartmouth. I didn't prepare a song for you. Sorry guys, just one song tonight. Dartmouth for me has been a gateway in 10 billion ways, but for the sake of tonight's talk, I had to narrow it down to 3 main ways. The first way is that Dartmouth has been my gateway to the world. I was someone who didn't travel a lot in high school, didn't think that I was going to be traveling a lot at Dartmouth, and Dartmouth really has become my gateway to the world. The second thing is that Dartmouth has been my gateway to research. I was someone who thought that research was something that chemistry people did with little test tubes in a lab somewhere underground. And that's not at all been the kind of research that I've done at Dartmouth. So we'll talk about that. And then last, Dartmouth has been my introduction to a lifelong passion for learning and discovery for me. So let's get started. Like you, 4 years ago, was sitting in this room. I was a senior at North Springs High School in Atlanta, Georgia. I know at least one of you here tonight is from Atlanta, Georgia. Can I see a hand? Anyone? Woo! All right. There's my dorky graduation photo. And I was dead set on being an engineer. I knew that's what I was going to do. I thought I had my 4 years at Dartmouth planned out, knew exactly how they were going to work. Raise your hand if you think you have an idea of what Dartmouth is going to look like for you. What's your 4 years? Maybe you are pre-med. Anyone? I know some of you are pre-med. All right. Anyone think they're going to be an engineer? I encourage you to follow your passion, but I also encourage you to keep your eyes and ears open because sometimes things change. So I came to Dartmouth. Here we go. And spent my first 2 years completely in New Hampshire. In the fall, my freshman year, I took engineering classes for the first 2 terms at Dartmouth, and by the end of the winter had decided this is not for me. I'm frankly not very good at math and science. This is not for me. And I, in my freshman spring, decided that I was going to reach out and start taking some other classes. And my freshman seminar was an environmental studies class, and fell in love with environmental studies. Like, wow, this is where there's an edge in life. This is where I'm being called. And I also took a class on public leadership in the public policy department. That's ENVS and PBPL. And really was like, wow, I was not a gov person at all. And this is kind of where also there's an edge. This is exciting. So my freshman summer, I decided that I was going to stay in New Hampshire. I helped to build a new cabin for the college that went up there. Dartmouth has a network of cabins all across New Hampshire, Vermont, and we own a large parcel of land in northern New Hampshire called the Grant, and this was in the Grant. And it was an incredible way to spend freshman summer in beautiful New England. Being from Atlanta, I don't know if you know, it gets a little hot in the South sometimes in the summer, so it was very nice to be in New England for the summer. Sophomore year, I came back to Hanover and spent all of sophomore year in Hanover as well. when I got to sophomore winter, my parents said, you're going to be on sophomore summer. It's time for you to take an off term. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Nothing really seemed to be working out. And so I was in this environmental law class, and I asked the professor, I hear like research is something that like people do. I don't really know what that is. Do you know of any professors in environmental studies that are looking for a research assistant? And I thought maybe I'd be tilling through soil samples or something like that. And he said, yes, I am looking for a research assistant. Wow. And so I was working on a project, very fittingly, looking at sustainability of New Hampshire's forests, which I had just spent the summer in. I also worked for the Rockefeller Center and worked on a project. Hurricane Irene had just devastated Vermont, and I was working on a project with the Rockefeller Center to help rebuild Vermont. So that was the kind of research that I got started with. Very not spilling chemicals in test tubes type research. The other thing I want to point out about sophomore year is that on that off term, I was able to serve on a hiring committee for a new professor in environmental studies. And this is like a very Dartmouth, quintessential Dartmouth experience. I had not even declared my major at this point, and yet I was able to serve on this hiring committee because of how small the department was, how small Dartmouth was, and how much agency I had as a student. It was truly incredible. So, but by the end of sophomore year, I was kind of ready to get out of Hanover. I, came to Dartmouth to learn, to go see the world, and had not yet left New Hampshire and was ready to leave. So, junior fall, I went on the Environmental Studies FSP in FSP is Foreign Studies program. So I went on the Environmental Studies Foreign Study in Southern Africa, which was really quite an introduction to international travel. The Environmental Studies program is 10 weeks in the back of a Jeep, traveling around South Africa, Namibia, and Lesotho. I spent most of my nights in tents, engaged really deeply with both the culture and the landscape. 2 Dartmouth professors came with us and spent the entire trip with us, as well as we had some faculty members in and out from both South Africa and Namibia. There's one story I want to share with you from this program that helps explain why I feel so passionately about this program. And one night we were sitting in our campsite, and we were having an astronomy lesson. The professor had us looking up at the stars. This is actually very fitting that we're here because it looks like there's stars above us. We were looking up at the stars, and we heard some rustling in the bushes off to one side, and we shone a flashlight over there, and a male bull elephant had wandered into our campsite. And I had not traveled very much. I had seen elephants in the zoo, and that's about it. And certainly never in my campsite before with no fences between us. And the professor said, keep your eyes on the stars, keep your eyes on the stars. We kept turning the light off to not disturb the elephant. Last thing you want to do is disturb the elephant at this point. And so we'd keep looking at the stars, and we'd shine the flashlight, and the elephant had moved a little bit closer, and we'd move over a little bit, and keep looking at the stars, and shine a light, and keep moving over a little bit. The astronomy lesson eventually was cut short because the elephant was right in the middle of our campsite, and we needed to retreat to our tents. But in that moment, it was incredible to realize how much, although this was a happenstance occurrence, how much of this was so Dartmouth. The fact that we were in Southern Africa with 2 professors, and the fact that Dartmouth really encouraged this sort of experiential, on-the-ground, like cutting-edge education. And it was incredible to think that there were students halfway across the world studying in Baker Lobby, and that I also, as a Dartmouth student on a Dartmouth program, was here in South Africa. My lesson was just interrupted by a bull elephant. One last thing about this program is that, so sophomore year I was able to work on other professors' research. I didn't really get to design my own project. As part of this program, I was able to design my own project that lasted the length of the term. And my project was looking at tax incentives in Namibia and how they were transforming the landscape and how they were affecting the landscape. And it was my first time that I sort of went through a project from beginning to end, like from the research questions through the methods, all the way to, at the very end, we had sort of a research symposium and presented our research to each other. So it was truly an incredible experience. Junior spring, I had the pleasure of going to Rome, Italy, and last year in the spring was right after the new Pope had just been chosen, and I don't know if you know, but the Pope is kind of big in Rome. They kind of like him there. So it was a very exciting time to be there. But another thing that was incredible was that Dartmouth language programs, you sign a language pledge that you will only speak the language that is of the country that you're in. So I was committed to only speaking Italian and no English. And it can be hard in the first couple weeks. You know, I can say, like, my pencil needs to be sharpened, but it can be more difficult to say, like, I need help, or I don't know how to get from here to the Colosseum in Italian. And so through this, the professor on my program ended up sort of being, I had my Italian host mom, who was great, but, you know, there's only so much in the beginning that we could interact with. And my Italian professor, who was the only Dartmouth professor who came with us, became my mom in Rome, really. She invited us over to dinner all the time at her house. Her daughter became a friend of all of us on the program, would travel with us. And even since coming back to Hanover, this professor has invited us over for her house for dinner, gotten gelato with us at Murano Gelato in town. Really has continued to be a lasting presence in my life. And this was also an incredible experience. So during the summer, I was able to travel on Dartmouth's dime, travel to northern Alaska, where I was doing thesis research. If you had told me 4 years ago that I would be traveling to the Arctic, if I'd been sitting in this seat and you told me that I was going to be traveling to the Arctic, I would have laughed at you, as I'm sure many of you are laughing at me in your heads. But it's, again, a uniquely Dartmouth link that got me there. Dartmouth has a long-standing history of both scholarship and activism in the Arctic. I had taken several classes on the Arctic, and Dartmouth actually has their own fund, the Stephenson Fellowship, to send undergraduate students up to the Arctic to do research. So Dartmouth funded an internship that I was doing there, and I also was studying the effects of oil drilling in the American Arctic. And this was sort of the culmination of my research. So I had done other professors' research sophomore year. Junior year, I had designed a one-term research project, and now I was able to design a project that I'm still working on, a year-long project that's become my senior thesis. And which brings us back to Hanover. Too far. Which brings us back to Hanover. This senior year, I've been working on my honors thesis on oil drilling, and I've been able to foster all of the relationships that I've had over the last 3 years, both professors, students, and remember that professor that I was on his hiring committee sophomore year? He's now my thesis advisor in environmental studies, and has become not just an academic mentor to me, but also a friend and a life guide, truly. But if I had been sitting in here 4 years ago and you told me that I was going to be the one up here with the map on the big screen in Spalding, I would have laughed at you. I did not travel a lot. I was excited to come to Dartmouth because I knew traveling and studying abroad was something that Dartmouth students did, but I never really thought that was me. I thought I was going to be an engineer. And so I really encourage you, should you choose Dartmouth, to think to have a vision for where you're going, but be adaptable. Think about keep the door open for other opportunities as they present themselves, because you could be the one in 4 years with the map up on the board, and I encourage you to. I hope you choose Dartmouth. Thank you so much.
All right. So 2 stories down, 2 stories to go. And we're going to give away another t-shirt here. Oh, you're not just going to raise your hand for a t-shirt. You got to earn it. This is Dartmouth. You got to earn it. Here's how you're going to earn it, though. Who can tell me where Gisele went snowshoeing? Just shout it out. Yeah. Oh, that was, right there. Oh, he snatched it. Canada, yes, her first trip to Canada. She's snowshoeing. Girl from Houston. Love it. All right, one more. Once again, you can exchange the t-shirts at the co-op for the right size. I don't know what the sizes of these are. Okay, this section. Where Name all 3 places Michael traveled to. I like it, but I'm going to test my arm. She was so determined right here. But I'm going to get another one. This one's going deep into that corner. Oh, juggling. All right, excellent. Thank you for your excellent listening skills. Group over here. Let's see, we got there, got here, got there. All right, I guess we're going to go deep here next. After the next presenter. You got to hold your horses. All right, our next presenter is going to share again a story about contributions. Not the kind of contributions we're going to be begging you for in about 4.1 years, not those contributions, but contributing both to the Dartmouth community, contributing to the world he wants to live in. Listen in this story about what he got from Dartmouth, where he got the ideas of what he wants to contribute, and listen to some of the things he contributed, because there may be a quiz question in there for a t-shirt afterwards also. Let's please help me welcome Neil Bhatt. Neil, come on out.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here. As Carlos said, my name is Neil Bhatt, and I am a senior here at Dartmouth. I'm from Wellesley, Mass, if any of you are from that area. And I'm really excited to be here today to share a little bit about what Dartmouth has done for me and tell you about what it can do for you. So my journey is literally just one example of the types of opportunities that you'll have here. I know hundreds of other Dartmouth students who have experiences that are just like mine, and yours can take any form. So my story, it starts in a hospital in rural India. And I was a sophomore in high school at the time and decided to accompany my father, who is a head and neck surgeon, on his second charity trip there. And while I was there, I really wanted to make some sort of contribution and not just shadow the doctors and see what they were doing, but be able to somehow support healthcare there. So in talking with him, one of the issues that he'd had was an inability to follow up on patients who he'd done surgery on when he came back to the US after the trip. So after lots of thinking and planning, I decided to set up a telemedicine system that would connect physicians in India who were trying to treat patients with doctors in the US who could provide them with advice on more complex cases. So basically, I set up a system where you can attach scopes to the computer so that doctors there could do an exam and the doctors in the US could help to make the diagnosis. And I'll never forget the smiles of the patients during the first telemedicine conversation. I mean, it's just so cool to be able to help in bridging the gaps between India and the US across a whole ocean. So this experience really convinced me that even as students, we can make a difference. And after this experience, I knew that I wanted my future to involve global health somehow, but I really wasn't sure what form that would take. So now, fast forward to my freshman year. These are my floor mates. And one day, my roommates and I were just hanging out in our dorm, and we decided to Google the rest of our floor mates and see what sort of things they'd been up to. We didn't want it to be kind of creepy or anything, but just to kind of get a sense of, like, you know, what they were up to and the things they'd done. So we soon found out that one of them had spoken on the floor of the US Senate, and, you know, we didn't know that beforehand, so it was really interesting to talk to her about that experience. Another had played in the Ultimate Frisbee World Cup, and he was my roommate, which was really cool watching him play. And then another was working for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association and won an award from them. And they also came from all over the world, so it was just great to get all of their perspectives and get to know them that first year. And I know that so many of you have similar backgrounds. And if you come to Dartmouth, you can definitely be inspired by and really benefit from interacting with those types of classmates. You've probably met some of them today. So now back to global health. So During the fall of my freshman year, I attended the Student Activities Fair, and I was completely blown away by how many clubs there were there. I mean, it's insane. And luckily, I happened to stumble upon the booth for the Dartmouth Coalition for Global Health and Social Equity, and I still remember going to the first meeting, and I was just completely blown away there by what the juniors and seniors in that room had accomplished, and I couldn't imagine that I might be in a similar place in the future. And furthermore, I've become great friends with so many of the people in that room, and we've gotten to travel to conferences and do many great events together. So I soon found out that the Dickey Center for International Understanding, which funds the Dartmouth Coalition for Global Health, also offered courses in that subject area. And I really benefited from incredible interactions with my professors. And these interactions have been the hallmark of my Dartmouth experience. This is actually a photo of John Watanabe. He is my major advisor. And I remember freshman year, I took Intro to Anthropology, and I honestly didn't know what anthropology was coming in. I looked at the description in the book that we get, and it was, looked cool, so I said, all right, I'll take it, and I took it and absolutely loved the material. So in doing that, he actually helped me to design my own major. And so I was able to take classes from all different departments at Dartmouth and count that towards my anthropology major in global health. And so the faculty at Dartmouth, they really want to hear your ideas and to design something that's going to work for you. So before long, I was helping to plan events for the Dartmouth Coalition for Global Health. And one thing I thought would be really cool is to bring together students for the first ever Dartmouth Global Health case competition. And I wanted to have students from the college, the engineering school, the medical school, and the business school working on these problems together and coming up with solutions. And I honestly couldn't believe how supportive the administrators at all these schools were. They were willing to chip in money, help gather support, and just extremely encouraging overall. So if you have a good idea here at Dartmouth, and I know many of you will in the coming years, that you can definitely get the support here needed to make it happen. And during the winter of my sophomore year, I wanted to then take everything that I'd learned in the classroom and from my great discussions in the Coalition for Global Health meeting and to apply them in the real world. So I applied for the Dartmouth Global Leadership Program in Honduras, and I got the opportunity to travel to a small community with them. And study and travel abroad is so popular here, as you heard Michael talking about his experiences in Alaska and elsewhere. You can definitely make that part of your experience here. It's really popular, and there's so many different opportunities that you can take part in. So I loved my time in Honduras, and I really hoped that I'd be able to do something like that in the future. And luckily, I ended up meeting Ricardo Vera, who was a year above me, and he was the student director for the Nicaragua Cross-Cultural Education and Service Program. And he loved his job working for the Tucker Foundation, which does a lot of community service in the area and the world. And so he encouraged me to apply for the position. And I applied to lead the trip, and it was just an unparalleled leadership experience. We actually worked with MIT to bring down foot pump-powered nebulizers that could help treat asthma in communities that don't have electricity. And I traveled down to Boston with our trip's medical director to meet the engineers and learn about how the devices work and how to repair them and that sort of thing. So once I was in Nicaragua, I actually got to work with the other students to train the community health leaders and teach them how to use this technology. And it was really incredible to see all the health leaders come together and treat asthma patients once they'd figured out how to use the new technology. And there really aren't many places where students can take on such significant leadership roles, because ultimately when we were in country, I was the person responsible for everyone's safety and all of that. And that was a really stressful experience, but at the same time, I grew so much from it. And there aren't many places that would put that type of trust in a student, but at the same time, I always had someone I could call if I needed support or help. And I think that combination was really incredible, and I was lucky to have it. So I was then able to take everything I learned and go to Rwanda to work for the Ministry of Health. And I was working there as a research assistant in the vaccine division. And this trip was funded by the Rockefeller Center for Public Policy here at Dartmouth. And while I was there, I got to write papers that will hopefully impact the way that vaccination programs are carried out in the world. And that was just another great experience. Particularly, I was able to learn directly from the Minister of Health. And she is an incredible leader, really helping Rwanda to make great strides in the field of public health. And I actually found out about this experience through a Dartmouth alum. His name's Cameron, and he was one of those impressive seniors in that Coalition for Global Health meeting 3 years earlier. And so Dartmouth alumni, they really open doors. I mean, I've called Dartmouth alumni who have similar interests when I wanted to figure out, was medicine definitely the path for me? I talked to people about consulting, and they were really trying to figure out, okay, given what you've done, is this the right path for you? And that was just so helpful. And they truly love this place, and so they really want to give back by supporting you and your endeavors. So ultimately, I plan to pursue a career in medicine and hopefully to lead global health programs. And I was fortunate enough to be admitted to Dartmouth's Gisel's medical school class of 2018. And thank you. So if you all come to campus, I'll actually be in 18 too, just at a different school. But I'll see you around, so, I hope to make that happen. And this summer, I'll be traveling to Peru with the Dartmouth Center for Healthcare Delivery Science. And they've started a partnership with the Peruvian government. And so we're working with the regional hospital to develop an emergency medicine and disaster response system in Lima. And honestly, I never could have imagined what I could have accomplished here at Dartmouth. And, putting this together, it was kind of like crazy, all the types of opportunities that I've had. It's just, there aren't many places on the world where you can do these types of things. And ultimately, I think that Dartmouth chose you because they believe that each of you, no matter what your interests are, has the ability to use those interests to make the world better. And the possibilities here really are endless. I couldn't have made a better decision. So if you really want a place that's going to challenge you intellectually, surround you with classmates who will inspire you, and give you the freedom, but most importantly, the support to pursue your passions, then Dartmouth is definitely the place for you. And I really hope to see you around next fall. Thanks so much.
All right. So that feeling that many of you have right now? Tired, right? That feeling? It's been a long day. Some of you traveled today, late last night. Some of you have traveled a long way. You're feeling tired, feeling beat down, struggling to keep the eyes open. Welcome to week 3 of each term at Dartmouth. Okay? That's the feeling that begins at week 3, and we take you all the way to the end, more and more tired, but you're doing more and more brilliant things, wonderful things. So fight through the tired now. Be ready to fight through the tired when you get here, because we're going to push you. That's what you're hearing up here, stories of people being pushed out of their comfort zones, pushed out of their own expectations for themselves. So we're going to push you too. And next we're going to have a story. It's actually going to be a video in just a few minutes of a young man who pushed himself, challenged himself through his Dartmouth experience. And this one's a story of risk, because risk can have great reward and it can have great failure. His risk, you're going to hear in just a moment, is passing up a sure thing to take a chance on himself. And he utilized tools here at Dartmouth to help him believe in himself and feel confident in taking this risk. So we're just going to watch a short video, and we're going to go ahead and start that video of Sebastian DeLuca, who is a current senior here at Dartmouth.
My name is Sebastian DeLuca. I'm a senior here. I'm a government major, and I'm from right outside San Francisco, California. I'll never forget, it was my very first class on campus. It was an intro government course about comparative politics, and I was extremely nervous. I felt like, maybe I'm going to be the dumbest person in this class. There's all these people in here, not just freshmen. I see a lot of older students as well. So I went to office hours, every single week probably, and he made that time for me. And that's the most amazing thing, is that it's so great to hear that these opportunities are available when you want to pick a place to go to college. But to actually have that happen, to actually have this professor in my very first class, these personal interactions really do extend beyond the classroom. They extend beyond office hours. You have the opportunity to take them out to lunch and kind of figure out what sparked that passion, and maybe figure out how you can spark that passion yourself. I was always interested in trying to start my own thing. People told me that this was the time of my life where I had the lowest risk and had the opportunity to do that. And so I came up with the idea for Promote You because I wanted there to be more opportunities for students to get real substantive work experience while on campus. What we're building is a marketplace for opportunities for companies, both startups and larger brands like Google and Apple, to hire students for opportunities and roles that they can take on while they're on campus. Dartmouth has provided me with resources that have been able to impact every single area of my life. For me, extracurricularly, pursuing a lot of entrepreneurial efforts, I've been able to connect with Tuck professors. I've been able to connect with Tuck students who've started their own companies. I've been able to connect with alums who became advisors, who became investors. And the most amazing thing is just every single day I'm able to connect with students. And so Dartmouth just has so many organizations, it has so many outlets to find these different people that you can connect with so that your own passion can grow. You're not only going to walk away from Dartmouth with a job or good friends for life, but just mentors and inspiration that really will influence me every single day. And that's, to put it pretty simply, that's really cool.
You don't have to applaud for the video, so you're okay. But we do have at least two more t-shirts to give away. We're going to do one right now. We're going to do one in just a little while. Now the people that eyes were drifting shut, they're now wide awake. I see that. This is a t-shirt for the Dartmouth class of 2018 student who can tell me what the project was that Neil was working on. It was a piece of technology they were creating, but it wasn't mechanical. Yeah, we're here. So much technology in that answer. So close yet so far. In the back? Yep, say it. Exactly. That was we got the pantomime there. The foot pump nebulizer, that was what that was. It's not just an itchy foot. Yes, good answer. Nailed it. All right. Give him a round of applause. He got that right. Foot pump nebulizer. Yep. All right. We're hitting the home stretch here. This is going to be our final presenter, and we have quite a treat for our final presenter because this is a very recent alum. So we have somebody who just graduated who's going to share their story with you. They just graduated last year, and this is that story I told you about of following one's passion and discovering one's passion while you're here at Dartmouth. Throughout your life, maybe right now, you're in discussions with family, friends, mentors around, do I follow my passion, or do I do just what I'm good at, or do I do that thing that's going to get me the good guaranteed job? Do I do that thing that's going to get me a lot of money? And that's a decision you're going to have to make. You're going to have to make it now, you're going to have to make it next year, and the year after that, and the year after that, because that's a decision that's always going to be in front of you. This story is about following your passion, however, or letting that passion guide you towards your success. And I would like you to please help me welcome Priya Krishna from the class of 2013.
There we go. Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing? Good, good. My name's Priya. I am a 13, which means that I just graduated last June, and I'm from New York City. Quickly along those lines, we're just going to diffuse some tension really quickly to the 20 of you who are on the New York bus. Yesterday, I was the person who kept getting up to throw up because I get really car sick, and I was really excited to meet you guys. But glad we got that off our chests. So yeah, my name's Priya, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about not only my time at Dartmouth and what I did while I was at Dartmouth, but how Dartmouth can help your life after college and what kind of doors that it can open up for you. So this is me, sophomore spring. This is what people wear at Dartmouth, so looks like all of you are gonna have to get new wardrobes. So it's a little bit about myself, some pictures from my time at Dartmouth. So yeah, I guess what I want to talk to you about is kind of what everyone here has been talking about, how Dartmouth can help you find yourself, find your passions, and pursue them. And for me, that passion was food. So I'm here to talk to you about how I took that and ran with it while I was at Dartmouth. So to give you some background where I am right now, I work for a food magazine called Lucky Peach that's based in New York City, and I am authoring a cookbook that's coming out in June called Ultimate Dining Hall Hacks. It's like 75 recipes you can make in a college dining hall. Really useful for you guys. It was actually inspired by a column that I started right here at Dartmouth in the newspaper, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So we'll rewind to my freshman year. I was sitting in Collis, our student center, kind of having one of those classic identity crises, like who am I gonna be? What am I gonna do and for the rest of my life? What's my niche gonna be in college? And while I was doing that, I was kind of, I was like taking a lettuce wrap and putting some teriyaki chicken on it and putting some carrots on top of that and some sriracha and folding it up. And someone was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm making lunch. And they were like, this isn't normal, but it's cool. And so I came up with this idea to write a column in our school newspaper, basically where every week I would invent a recipe that you could make using only the ingredients found in our school's dining hall. And I decided to call it the DDS Detective. DDS stands for Dartmouth Dining Services. So I started writing this column. Initially, I figured I was only writing it to myself. Every column had like a comment from my parents being like, we're so proud of you. But beyond that, I didn't really think anyone was reading my column. But then all of a sudden, people started coming up to me and being like, I read your column. I made X recipe. The campus rabbi told me that he reads it to his son when he's crying because it like makes him feel better. Go figure. And I started realizing that this is something that was cool, something that I really love, something I was passionate about. And I started thinking about how I could take that passion and translate it into other areas of my life at Dartmouth. So the first thing that happened was Dartmouth Dining Services reached out to me and asked if they could create a position for me within their administration, basically where I would be a student consultant. So I got to help DDS, Dartmouth Dining Services, design their menus. I acted as a liaison between the administration and the student body, and basically got to just learn everything you could possibly know about dining halls. I went to college dining hall food conferences, yes, these exist, across America, and got to like sample food from all of these different dining hall writers and help decide what would go into the dining halls here. And just had a blast and learned so much. And then I guess the second way that I incorporated food into my life here was in academics. I was a government and French major here, two things that you may not inherently associate with food, but I ended up writing, I counted 15 papers on food at Dartmouth as a government and French major. I wrote a paper for a class on immigration called "We Built This City on Chop Suey." Like, it was about like immigration, about like sort of Chinese immigrants to San Francisco and how they use Chinese food to bridge cultural gaps. I traveled to France, which is the picture on the left, and did my final project on cheese. And so everyone else showed a PowerPoint presentation, and I like conducted a cheese tasting in French. I went on the government foreign study program and wrote which is the picture on the right. I'm actually in Dublin in this picture, but I was in London for most of the term. And I wrote my paper on how tea built the British Empire. And I just like, I went to like, I ate tea and scones at like 5 different places in London. I was like, I'm just doing research. So I basically got to incorporate food into every part of my academic experience. And it was amazing. I would be in these government classes and I'd ask professors if I could write my paper on something totally weird and totally different. And instead of being like, no, you should stick to, what's on the syllabus, they were super excited about my ideas. So that was awesome. And then the third thing was internships. Everyone here, I'm sure, everyone in college wants to score an awesome internship. I really wanted to do something in food. And I wanted to do something at the Food Network. That was like, I had been watching the Food Network since I was 4. I would like pretend to be like a Food Network host to my mom. Like I really just wanted to work there. And I found out that the founder of the Food Network was a Dartmouth alum. And I searched on the contact directory and found an email address, sent an email, and then the next day, he's a 53, emailed me back. And a couple months later, I had an internship at the Food Network. And I ended up being able to write content for the website, work on the set of one of my favorite shows called Iron Chef, and just like I joined the Food Network softball team. It was terrible. I was first baseman. It was awful. And just had such a good time. So I guess the end result of all of this was that I realized that I wanted to make food a big part of my life, not just at Dartmouth, but beyond Dartmouth. And the first thing I realized is that I wanted to maybe try my hand at writing a cookbook. I had never written a cookbook before. The most I had written was like a couple thousand words in a class. So I Googled how to write a book proposal. I literally typed it into Google and put together a book proposal and sent it to like 30 or 40 different publishing houses and ended up in July landing a book deal a month after graduation. And then from there, I ended up sending a cold email to one of my favorite food magazines called Lucky Peach. And a couple months later, they emailed me back saying they had one job opening, and that is where I currently work, at a company filled with people who live and breathe food and are as obsessed with it as I am. So it's like been totally awesome. So my passion was food. I explored and exhausted, I feel like, so many avenues at Dartmouth for pursuing my passion, but I kind of wanted to talk about the other passions that people have pursued. So I sat down and thought about all the things that my friends are doing and how they are pursuing their passions that are not necessarily food related. So I won't read everything, but my friends are doing everything from being an Italian teacher, international political reporters, zookeepers, wine buyers, Fulbright scholars, admissions officers, actresses, graphic designers, directors, the list goes on. If you come here, one of Dartmouth's greatest strengths is that you will challenge yourself, you will discover new things, and you will pursue something that you're passionate about if you want to. So sort of brings me to where I am today, graduation. Basically, I think that you guys are some of the smartest people in the world. You wouldn't be here if you weren't, incredibly bright. And I think you'll get an amazing education no matter where you choose to go. But here, you'll really grow. You'll develop as a person. You'll change. You'll be challenged. You'll be surrounded by the most interesting and amazing people you'll ever have the pleasure of meeting. And I think that after Dartmouth, the connection even only gets stronger. The people who edited every version of my cookbook proposal were all Dartmouth people. After graduation, I stuck around to do food research, and my thesis advisor let me dog sit, and I just like stayed at her house. I think something like 70% of my followers on Twitter are Dartmouth people, so I'd have like 20 followers if it wasn't for Dartmouth. And it's a connection that really stays with you for life. Like, these are the people that are here for you in the thick and thin. And, you know, Dartmouth has been such a special part of my life. It has changed me. It's made me a better person. The picture that actually, the picture that really should capture this moment is the picture my dad took of me sobbing, but it was really unflattering, so I didn't want it to be on this big screen. Because I was so sad to be leaving here, because this is one of the most incredible places. So if you want to be challenged, if you want to find yourself, discover your passions, come here, sign that enrollment agreement. This is one of the greatest places on earth, and it's done so much for me. And if you let it, it can totally do the same for you. So thanks so much, and I'll be hanging around here if you want to ask me any questions or anything. But yeah, have fun.
Okay, so if you didn't hear Priya at the end right there, she's going to come back out after she gathers her stuff, and I do the closing. So if you want to talk with her, ask her questions, she's here. Our other 3 students are still students, and they have class tomorrow, so they've gone to go study, and one has a midterm paper they have to finish tonight. So, like, yeah, that's real, and that's happening. Okay, so a couple of things. Just in closing, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for engaging in this and listening and hopefully learning not just about our fantastic students, but also learning that you are a fantastic student, that you are brilliant, that you could easily be up here sharing this story, because we had everything from a first-generation college student who is exploring all the options available to her, who saw challenges her very first term and was homesick, but now has found home and has created home here for herself, all the way to a wonderful alum who has pursued her passions all the way beginning to end with Dartmouth. That was the most hard sell moment that I've ever seen. Please pick Dartmouth right there at the end. So that's her passion coming through for this place and what this place has given her. But we're not trying to hard sell you. We just want to introduce to you some of the options, some of the ways that Dartmouth has changed some students' lives up here, and hopefully you saw yourself up here. Because it doesn't matter where you choose to spend the next handful of years of your life. Wherever you go, the fact that you're in this room, wherever you choose to go, you're going to be wonderful. You're going to be successful. But that's going to be dependent upon you agreeing to allow yourself to be challenged. You have to agree to allow yourself to be pushed, to be doubted, to be down at times. Allow that to happen, because it's in those moments where the support comes in. It's in those moments where the friends that are going to help lift you up for the rest of your life come in. It's in those moments where you find it in yourself, where you find it in your family, to move to that next level. And that next level is where you're functioning right now. We want to keep you moving up to that next level, that next level, that next level. If Dartmouth is your choice, it's going to be fantastic. You're going to have a great time. You're going to have a bad time, and that's good and that's okay, because we want to keep moving you forward. The themes and the stories tonight were all around change and growth in order to find success. Remember those themes around exploration, building experiences, finding ways to contribute, taking risks, and pursuing your passion, because those are things you're going to do. I already know it. If you choose to do it here, I'm going to look forward to watching you do it here. And the one thing I do want to remind you is no matter where you go, there are people who work on these campuses, on every college campus across the country, whose job it is to help you succeed. Not to get you to succeed, not to force you to succeed, not to succeed for you, but to help you succeed for you. So utilize us. Ask us questions. There's no embarrassing questions. There's no wrong questions. Let us help you. So seek us out. Spend the rest of this evening. I think later on this evening there's an event where you're going to have a chance to talk with all kinds of advisors from different parts of campus. Yeah, this evening is going to go on and on and on, trust me. After that, you're going to have an opportunity to interact with more students during the night tours around town and campus, and you're going to see all kinds of amazing stuff. I don't know what they do know, what they don't know, if there's surprises in there, so I'm not going to talk about what it is you're going to see, but you're going to see some great stuff tonight. And I really hope you take advantage of this Dartmouth experience and this chance that you're here to find out what Dartmouth can do for you and what you can give back to Dartmouth. Before you go, my man, on point. He says, there's another t-shirt back there. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. So not only is there another t-shirt right here, well, first let's get rid of this t-shirt. Just hands in the air. You tell me something. You put your hand in the air first. Tell me something you got from this presentation. I'll let you two figure it. What's that? Oh, that's pandering. Total pandering. It worked. There you go. Total pandering. I want to go to Dartmouth now. Yeah, you got me. You get the t-shirt. But that's not the last prize. Our last presenter, Priya Krishna, has written a book that goes to print in June, which means you don't get the book right now. But what you do get is the opportunity to provide us with your address and contact information if underneath your seat you find taped to the bottom of your seat a little piece of paper that you'll need to unfold. We are giving away, we're going to pre-order copies of her book for you. There's one right here in front. That's one. Open it up, open it up. If you found the tag under your seat, look at folks are going to the empty seats next to them. Yeah, smart. It's in all sections. It's in all sections. If you have one of those taped underneath your seat, bring it up to the front so we can get your contact information. We're pre-ordering some of Priya's books and we'll ship them directly to you. Even if you don't choose Dartmouth, you're going to have a dining hall where those hacks will help. But seriously, give it some thought. If this is the place that's making you feel warm and fuzzy inside as well as challenging your intellect, consider us. And take the time to get to know some students while you're here for the rest of your time because they're going to be able to tell you their experiences as well. And maybe you're going to make a friend that you're going to see 1 year or a couple months from now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your time. Have a wonderful rest of Dimensions and rest of your travels. Travels be safe. Take care.